Hiya, chatters. I'm Nat.
And I'm Kat, and welcome to the Crime Chat. I'm your forensic femme fatale. Natalie is your true crime addict connoisseur.
We're just two normal girls obsessed with dark crimes, evil minds, and occasionally the unknown.
And here's your disclaimer, chatters. The following crime chat contains adult content and descriptions of potentially gaming violence scenarios today, so your listener discretion is advised.
You've been warned. And before we get into today's crime chat, Kat, what have you been up to?
Not dying.
Not dying. You feel better?
Yeah. I was telling you I had a sinus infection and an ear infection. I got a shot in my butt with steroids and a shot in the other cheek with some antibiotics. Started kind of getting a little bit of a fever, but I feel better. I've had 3 or 4 days of antibiotics in my system, so feeling a little bit better, but I haven't really done anything else because I've been trying to just stay afloat prior to my next trip and like trying to get all the things done. And I did get another work assignment, well, another class assignment for next
Right.
term. But I will say it's the same class I'm teaching this term, so I don't have to recreate the wheel all over again, and I'm really excited about it. Because for whatever reason, for the longest time, they kept giving me new classes that I hadn't taught before, so I'd have to build, all my lesson plans and everything like that. And it's not that I'm not
Right.
qualified to teach it. I just needed to make sure I understood what the learning objectives were for the course and each individual assigning objectives and making sure that that translates. So, but now I don't have to recreate the wheel. So I'm excited about that. Oh, I will say though, that one thing I did today, I mentioned a couple months ago, I did a writing workshop and I had another one today, and it was a lot of fun. We get stories, like real quick flash fiction stories to use as kind of ideas, and then we get a prompt. One of them was landscaping, like what's a landscape, and think of yourself in that landscape. What did that landscape look 100 years ago? Or what will it look like 100 years from now? And it was based on, like I said, a flash fiction. It had kind of that same type of theme. It was just a lot of fun.
Cool. Very
Wrote about the beach. That's about it. Just, it was 40 degrees. We had a freeze warning, and then the next day it was like 70.
I know. So that's like
It's like
here
all
too.
over the place.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Not much. I did get hooked on, I don't know if you've ever seen, like YouTube has these log home building channels. Have you ever seen them?
I can't say I haven't seen the channels. I mean, I obviously know what log homes are.
Yeah, so it's super relaxing. There's one
Oh.
channel, Eric's, I forgot his last name, but he's from, I want to say Sweden. And what
Oh.
he did, he spent like 2 years building a log home without any electricity, just an axe.
Oh my gosh. He's Paul
Yeah.
Bunyan.
And he documented the entire process. It
Wow.
is so interesting, but there's no talking. It's just no music. It's just the sounds of nature, him hitting a log, and it's so rhythmic and relaxing. And I'm impressed. Like and you could see him get older. So he must have started when he was he had like stubbles on his beard. So you could tell
Uh-huh.
like he was kind of like probably 17,
Yeah.
if not a little younger. And then by the time he finishes it, he has a full beard. So it's really cute. But I'm like, that's a hell of an achievement. You have to
Yeah.
something like that. Obviously, he had a father that did it, and a grandfather. Like that is something that is instilled in you, and you
Hmm.
learn, and you're brought up around it because he knew everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what I've been doing. You got
Oh,
to check it out.
that's
It's really cool.
impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get a little bit more advanced, it seems, than the old no electricity building a log home.
Yeah.
So you wanted me to do an introduction on video games.
Mm-hmm.
Not too specific. You didn't give me too much, guidelines in there, but hopefully what I put together will help set you up for your story. So
Mm-hmm.
it's somewhere between fascinating industry evolution and unsolved digital mysteries.
Ooh, cool.
Okay. And it's going to be broken up into like different gaming eras. The first part is the Paddles and the Pixels era, 1950s to 1970s. In the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, there was light, and then there was Pong. Before the 1970s, gaming meant going outside or staring at a hoop and stick until you fell over from boredom. Then scientists at places like Brookhaven National Laboratory decided that instead of solving world hunger, they use multi-million dollar oscilloscopes to play tennis for two. In 1972, Atari gave us Pong. It was a revolutionary experience where two white rectangles fought over a square ball, and it was so popular that the first Pong machine reportedly broke down because it was literally overflowing with quarters. Now, each of these eras I'm going to talk about, I'm also going to give you a little crime twist in there. So, the first pixel related crime, the true crime of this era wasn't murder. No, it was the Great Quarter Heist. Teenagers discovered that if you tied a piece of dental floss to a quarter, you could trick the machine into giving you infinite lives.
Oh my God.
It was the first hack, and it paved the way for generations of kids who thought they were Ocean's 11 because they stole 25 cents from a pizza parlor. Okay, part two is the golden age and the crash, the 1980s. Gotta love it. The 80s were a fever dream of neon and questionable fashion. Pac Man arrived in 1980, teaching children that if you eat enough pills in a dark room while listening to repetitive electronic music, you'll eventually see ghosts.
Oh gosh.
However, by 1983, the industry committed a crime against humanity. E.T., the extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600, and it was so
Huh?
bad that Atari literally buried millions of copies in a New Mexico landfill. Now,
Yeah.
this is a cold case of this era, and for decades, this Atari landfill was considered an urban legend, a myth whispered by nerds in the basement of a comic shop. But in
Mhm.
2014, they actually dug it up, and it wasn't a myth. It was a
Uh-uh.
mass grave for plastic cartridges.
Yeah. And so I remember that game
Yeah.
because my brother had the Atari 2600 and he did buy ET. And I remember the exact moment where everything went wrong in the game, where
Hmm.
there was like this pit in the game. And once
Hmm.
you got in it, like the game at that point, I mean, it was a terrible game, but like I remember he couldn't get out of the pit. And it wasn't just him, like it was there was a huge glitch in the game that rendered this game you either have to start over
Yeah.
because that back then they didn't have the technology to kind of do upgrades.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was terrible. I remember that game.
I don't remember that game. And we had an Atari, but I
All
don't
right.
remember that game
What was your
specifically.
first console that you bought?
Atari.
Atari?
Or my personal one? Or is it
Well, your
just,
parents.
yeah, it was an
That
Atari. Yeah.
okay.
I don't
My
remember what
parents
model. Yeah.
okay. My parents bought us Atari and then in television.
In television?
Yeah. That was like the competitor back then. It really didn't
Oh,
last long because Atari
yeah.
kind of took over, but I
Well,
remember that.
and then we got like the first Nintendo when you had to like open up the top and you had to do the, for the cartridges
Yes.
to get them
Yeah.
to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so part three is the 16-bit wars and moral panic, 1990s. The 90s introduced blast processing, which no one can actually really explain, but the first real brush with the law, Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, politicians realized that games weren't just about jumping on mushrooms. They were about ripping out spines. This led to the creation of ESRB, the Entertainment Software Rating Board, because nothing stops a 10-year-old from buying a violent game quite like a mature sticker that makes the game look 10 times cooler.
Uh-huh.
Now, a touch of the 90s true crime, the Polybius myth. The
Oh,
90s
yes.
were a
Mm-hmm.
peak of the Polybius legend, a mysterious arcade cabinet that supposedly appeared in Portland, Oregon. Legend says it caused seizures, night terrors, and was serviced by men in black who
Mm-hmm.
collected data for the government. Now, while likely a host, it remains the ultimate creepypasta of gaming history.
Yeah.
Was it a CIA experiment or just a really glitchy version of the Tempest? The world may never know.
Yeah, part of that whole thing is that there's also a Mandela effect because
Yeah, yeah.
so many people remember that game being in that corner at that
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
and apparently they're saying the game never existed. So
Mm.
it's crazy. Like people are like,
Yeah,
no, it's like the Ed McMahon thing. Like, yes, Ed McMahon would show up at your house with a check.
yeah.
Well, apparently Ed McMahon never worked for the company. How did that happen? So I don't know.
Well, the last part is the modern era, 2000s to now. we move from 2D sprites to 4K realism, where we can now
Mm-hmm.
see the individual pores on a protagonist's face as they commit various federal crimes in games like Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming
Mm-hmm.
is now bigger than movies and music combined, and we
Yes.
have esports where people get paid millions to click mice faster than the average human can blink, and gotcha games which are essentially digital casinos disguised as colorful adventures. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
modern true crime of the time, the great Minecraft heist. In a bizarre twist of true crime, some college students once created a botnet through Minecraft to scam the game's economy. Their program ended up becoming so powerful that it accidentally brought down large portions of the internet across the eastern US. Now, imagine explaining to a judge that you took down the power grid because you wanted to buy more digital diamonds.
Yeah, they should hire those kids.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
So-
So I hope that helps set you up. We kind of talked a little true crime, a little digital fantasy, and
Yeah.
see where we are today.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean the gaming community or the whole like it has developed to a point where it dwarfs Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's so large, and
Yeah.
Hollywood is a thing of the past because the amount of people that started gaming like us, like I mean, we've done it before. We know what it's all about. We've
Hmm.
seen it, at this point, develop to a point where it's as good, if not better, than movies between
Yeah.
having amazing graphics that you can't tell the difference if
Yeah.
it's not fake or not,
Right.
and then a storyline that is just for the ages. Like movies
Hmm.
are not coming up with this stuff anymore. They're just revamping old stuff when these video games, some of them are really story driven that are just
Yeah.
like, wow, like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about our case is going to cover the darker side of gaming.
Mm.
Elliot Rodger is who we're going to cover. Now, this kid did not see himself as a killer. He saw himself as a victim, okay?
Uh,
He was ignored, rejected, overlooked, watching everyone else live their lives, believing that he deserved the same, if not better.
hmm.
He spent most of his time alone, online, in games like World of Warcraft.
Oh,
WoW. That's
wow. The
another
wow.
monster. The WoW. That's another monster of a
Yeah.
game.
Oh, yeah.
And in his thoughts, where things made sense in World of Warcraft, he didn't understand why real life didn't kind of,
Hmm.
turn out the same way. Like,
Hmm.
he didn't get the same results when he was fighting bad guys
You mean you
and
can't respawn
wow.
after you fall off a cliff?
He can't respond. Yeah. Over time, the isolation in his life, it grew darker. He started to have resentment, certain entitlements, and
Mm.
eventually a belief that he had the right to punish others.
Mm.
This wasn't a breakdown, it was a mindset, one that had been building over years. So let's get into it.
Oh,
His name is Elliot Rodger, and he was born July 24th, 1991, in London, England, to
okay.
Peter Rodger, a British filmmaker and a photographer, and Chin Rodger, also known as Lee Chin, a Malaysian born research assistant. When Rodger was 5 years old, his family moved to California. When he turned 7, his parents divorced.
Mm.
Now, because of joint custody, he kind of like lived in two different households with his
Sure.
younger sister. Life was, that was his life from this point on.
Right.
From a young age, Roger struggled socially. He was shy and he had a lisp. He was placed in therapy, and after a few sessions, his lisp was corrected,
Oh,
but he stayed in treatment because of his ongoing mental health issues. See, around the age of 7, Roger wouldn't make eye contact when somebody was
okay.
speaking to him.
Oh.
And he wouldn't talk much unless somebody actually directed a question to
Hmm.
him.
Hmm.
He preferred writing things down instead of speaking. Loud noises bothered him, and he would cover his ears. He also showed repetitive behaviors like tapping his legs and like repeating certain words.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Was there any
he,
like
mhm.
Tourette's in there?
We'll get into it. Yeah,
Oh,
at this
sorry.
point. He was also a very picky eater. He didn't
Hmm.
like chewy foods. When he got angry, he usually didn't take it out on others. Instead, he would tense his whole body, like his whole body would get tense, and then he would like start hitting himself.
Mm, yeah.
Now, in school, classmates described him as quiet, awkward, and distant. He didn't play sports. He didn't hang out with friends. He mostly kept to himself. His grades during elementary and middle school were very poor, but they did improve when he was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 2007, Roger was diagnosed with a pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, which is like there are other he has other diagnoses.
Okay.
So, at which time he was also it was also considered like having pervasive developmental disorder was also went hand in hand with autism,
Okay.
which is understandable after everything I just
Sure.
told you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
now, today, the PDD would fall under the autism spectrum disorder because
Mm-hmm.
we've changed the way like we look at autism.
Yep.
It's also believed that he struggled with depression and anxiety and took different medications for those conditions.
Okay.
On top of that, he showed signs linked to obsessive compulsive behavior and vulnerable narcissism.
Mm.
Things like shame, envy, being very sensitive to criticism, strong emotional reactions, anger, difficulty controlling impulses, and deep insecurity, like this is everything that was going on in him.
Is that the vulnerable narcissism?
Yeah.
I've never heard
So,
of
like
that. Oh.
vulnerable narcissism, like all narcissists,
Yeah.
they really
Yeah.
do want to perceive themselves a certain way. So they do overreact when there is criticism,
Hmm.
but they kind of, I think, like a normal narcissist, the way we know them, they kind of like would lash out at that.
Hmm.
Where here, he's internalizing this.
Okay.
Now,
Mm.
he graduated from high school in 2009 and went to college for a short time before dropping out. After dropping out of college, he took up karate, which is actually great. Like, I
Hmm.
think this is a good way to get all that pent up energy and anxiety into doing something physical.
Yeah.
And he said that this did make him feel stronger and more powerful, and that it did boost his confidence in a healthier way.
Hmm.
Now, around this time, people started noticing a change in him, though. A new version of Roger, one that kind of grew a sense of superiority.
Oh.
I know, ick, right?
Mm.
During this time, he also didn't have a job. He believed that entry level jobs, because that's what he would, at that point, he's so young. He
Hmm.
dropped out of college. I mean, what else are you going to get? If you know somebody, that's one thing, but you're going to get an
Yeah.
entry level job. And he just felt like that's beneath him. He's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's he's better than that.
Some people like that.
He did get some like construction jobs from people that he knew for like little short times just to get some money, but the majority of his money came from his parents. They gave him like an allowance. The way he spent his money, he bought everything that he thought would hook a girlfriend. Like he bought a nice shiny BMW, really expensive stuff. He would buy the most expensive sunglasses, clothing. He wanted to kind of give the perception that he was wealthy. He was
Yeah.
the catch, and he
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
hook a girl. He also played lots of video games. Now, that's not necessarily bad, but well, one of the games that he was hooked on was WoW and Halo. Now,
Oh,
these two
Halo.
games, as we know, World of Warcraft is a game built around escape and progress.
Hmm.
Players can spend hours leveling up characters, completing quests, and interacting with others in a huge online world.
Yeah.
It's structured, it's predictable, and it can feel more rewarding than your real life
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
For most people, it's just entertainment, but for some people already struggling socially, it became a place where they felt more in control and more successful. And they felt like their connections were like real life, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And in Roger's case, gaming didn't cause his actions, but it fit into a bigger pattern of isolation for him, where the online world felt easier
Hmm.
than the human connection. And this happens a lot. We
Sure.
all,
Yep.
one of the big problems.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, just to give you a perspective about WoW, millions of people play this game. So, like
Wow.
around 2 million people play per day. About 9 to 11 people play at least once a month. At any given time, around 200,000 people are playing online immediately, like right now.
Right. Right
Um,
now.
like,
Wow.
yeah. And depending on the timing, like new updates and, if they have something else up that they're
Hmm.
coming out, new DLCs, that number
Hmm.
could be way, way higher. So that's why I said before, like, it dwarfs
Hmm.
Hollywood because
Sure.
a game is getting I mean, 10 times the attention than any single movie gets. And the best
Hmm.
movie in the world. I mean, Titanic. Let's go for like the number one, that just knocked
Yeah.
it out of the box office.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that too with the gaming, especially if you've got these like strategies, like
Mm-hmm.
you're challenging yourself and you're trying to think, okay, well, like I think you said last time you were stuck in a room. Like,
God, still there.
you're
Still
still
there.
there? Okay, so this didn't work last time. Let me, or it
Uh,
started to work, here. Let me go around this way, kind of thing. I'm just thinking like Mario Brothers too, when they get
yeah.
down and meet with Dragon Guy's name
Oh, I don't know.
and down in the sewers where it's like na 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 na
Yeah.
na na. It's like
Oh, so
that strategy, right? So you're
yeah.
challenging yourself, and I think that's where people can get very absorbed and maybe like lose track of time. And I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the
Yeah.
same with a movie.
No, it's not. And it's not as like you're more engrossed into a game because
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
playing as a playable, character, main character in something that is very like looks similar to a movie. So I don't know if you saw the last sneak peek from our last episode. I did a video in it when we spoke about where I was
yeah,
stuck.
yeah,
When you go back to check it out, I
yeah.
I took a video of exactly where I'm stuck and who I'm faced off with, and it's freaking terrifying. Okay, I don't want to go back to the game. That's how terrifying it is. Anyway, so
Well, you need to watch
so
Free Guy. I've told you this before. Free Guy, the movie about being a non-player character.
an NPC, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now during this time in his life, Roger had close friendships, but no romantic relationships. So he did develop some connections.
Okay.
Well, not usual for teenagers, where teenagers are trying to hook up with everybody, like it's just normal behavior to be like, it's just
Yeah.
natural to kind of like try to, build that relationship, or if you like somebody, have a crush on them, that's all natural.
Hmm.
But his problem is that he felt very differently about that. Like he wasn't somebody that was chasing women. Because in his mind, he didn't see rejection as normal. He felt it like it was unfair, especially when it came to attention and affection from women. So he became very focused on status, appearance, and how others saw him, but still couldn't form any real connections. So that kind of contradiction became the key part of who he was.
Hmm.
Like I think he didn't really put the effort in, but he like demanded that everybody thought he was the coolest thing. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's like that narcissism maybe coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little less vulnerable.
Yeah. So he often talked about how he envied other people and believed they were living better lives than him. He was especially bothered by couples. He would even record couples in his community with his phone, and then he would avoid places where couples were, commonly frequent, like restaurants and like parks, like where he saw a lot of couples. Like I think public affection bothered him because he wasn't getting any, so he didn't want anybody else to have any.
Did he
Yeah.
follow people to the lover's lane?
I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where his thinking started to line up with what is now known as the incel ideology.
Mm.
So the term incel means involuntary celibate. It refers
Oh.
to people who feel like they cannot form romantic relationships or sexual ones. And even though they want to, they have no idea how to make that connection. And that is a bigger crisis with the gaming community because they're all putting their extra time in these games and not making human connections. And
Connection.
then
Yeah.
they're at 18 years old, they've been online for 10 years, and they're like, how do I get a girlfriend? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. Oh gosh.
but over time, parts of the incel group became more extreme. Some began blaming women entirely and developing anger and resentment and entitlement.
Oh God.
In these spaces, some people start to believe that they are owed sex or affection and that being denied those things is unfair. Now, that clearly is what Roger is thinking right now.
Right.
Now, just so this isn't in the script, but like I did some research on this. Well, when I was doing this about the incel community, there
Hmm.
is kind of like a weird, it's a double-edged sword. There is another side to this. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a yin and there's a yang.
Yeah.
So this incel community, like what I just described to you, yes, these are primarily, it doesn't have to be men, it could
Hmm.
be women
Hmm.
too, but
Hmm.
primarily this group of people isolated at home, not really making human connections, but making connections online, and then find it difficult to interact with a human.
Yeah.
Now, the other part of the incel ideology is that not incel, but there a lot of people are seeing now that one of the reasons that people, young men or or women, are kind of moving towards that incel ideology is because on the flip side, you have a lot of other people that are doing it freely online, like the what do you call that? What's that website? The sex website, OnlyFans. So
Oh.
you have a so what it's crazy. There's a documentary on it, so it's crazy. So it's like you
Yeah.
have this one side that says, I don't want to date women my age or men my age because they are selling themselves short and going to OnlyFans. And then you have the OnlyFans that are insulted by that and saying that,
Mm-hmm.
well, you're an incel and you can't. So it's a weird like dynamic where they don't like each other. Okay.
Okay.
And but you can kind of see like they both have points. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be an incel because I want to have in their mind, they don't want to date somebody that has put themselves online like that. And then
Yeah.
on the other side, they want to date successful billionaires and don't want to deal with incels, not knowing that they're both at the same age bracket and maybe they
Yeah.
should start talking to one another and just building relationships. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh, oh gosh. So with the incel community, oftentimes when you're in a community, you meet people who are alike. Don't people start dating then?
sure
And,
they do. Yeah. I'm
are no longer an incel, or would that mean that they're an outcast now?
so wait a minute. You want to hear something funny? It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's a terrible thing, but it's funny. Okay. So
Okay.
there's a lot of men and boys on in the incel community online. I mean, when you're talking about WoW, when you're talking about Halo, these games there's a lot of boys that play this, so men, like I
Mm-hmm.
want to say like it's 70 to 80% male. So as a running joke, and this is and honestly, the girls that are in the game, they kind of understand the
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. So they're
Mm-hmm.
incels themselves and they kind of like give it, it's a level playing field. But
Okay.
there was one game, I don't remember the game. I think it was something like WoW. Now it wasn't WoW, but it was like one of these like military
Yeah, yeah,
games.
yeah.
And the kid was streaming and he was streaming with a bunch of his friends. And out of the friends, there was this one girl. Now, this girl is a famous streamer. She's beautiful. She's smart. She
Mm-hmm.
loves this game. And so she beat him in whatever he was trying to do. So instead of him at that point in the game, taking a gun out and attacking her,
Yeah.
he grabbed her person in the game, threw her over his shoulder, ran into the house that was like blown up,
Yeah.
ran into the kitchen and dropped her off and walked away. And then she turns around to find another fellow gamer, female, sitting there. And she's like, did he you in here too? And she's like, yeah.
Just like
So, but
collecting them?
in the kitchen, that was
Yeah.
the joke. The joke for
Oh,
them was, I'm going to
jeez.
throw
Was
her
it Call
back
of
in.
Duty or something like
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was funny. The girls thought it was hilarious, and then they went out and kicked their butts. But like,
Yeah.
I guess it's just a personality. It is like a sense of humor that you either get or you don't. And I think a lot of people that don't get it will automatically say, you're a misogynist. It's not really that. It's really just
Yeah.
them just kind of spoofing on each other all the freaking time. So,
Hmm.
but anyway, I
Interesting.
digress. I know. It's funny. I digress. So okay, so now he's thinking like this on a daily basis, and now he started to like write in a journal all these ideas he had
Ugh.
about like, yeah. So at one point, this is after he dropped out of school, he moved over to Ilsa Vista, which is kind of like a college area, which is known for like the parties and all this stuff and social
Okay.
activities. I don't know why he's there if he knows this is one of his issues. Slowly, put your toe in the water. Just don't
Yeah.
jump in sometimes. Roger stayed kind of on the outside. He was just watching. He wasn't participating. He didn't feel like he belonged. He spent a lot of time alone, driving around, observing others, comparing
Mm.
himself to them. Instead of like adapting and meeting people, he kind of pulled away even more because there's pressure now. He shouldn't have put himself in that situation, I
Sure.
feel. Now, during this time, he spent a lot of time online. While there was no proof that there was a specific game that caused him to do what he would later do, like we
Mm.
know that WoW was a big game for him and
Hmm.
Halo was a big game for him. But the bottom line is his lifestyle just became more isolated and more isolated. And his world started just to become watching others live. It's crazy, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So now, obviously, when he's online, he's speaking to other people like him, and
Hmm.
everybody kind of agreed with him, which reinforced his negative outlook on people. Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, it's hard for me to get out too," and they were in an echo chamber, and
Yeah.
nobody kind of told them, "Hey, put the controller down and walk outside the house and make some friends. Maybe you
Hmm.
should try."
Hmm.
Nobody turned it on him. His feelings just grew stronger and more and darker.
Mm.
Roger's personality continued to change. He became more focused on his status and appearance because that's the way he thought he was going to nab a girl, like,
Yeah.
all the wrong reasons. He
Mm.
grew more resentful of other men, more hostile towards women. At the same time, he believed that he was superior. He was the catch. That mix, feeling better than others while also feeling feelings of rejection, created like this dangerous mindset. He believed that he was exceptional, but the world didn't treat him that way. And that was a problem. He didn't like that. And he blamed everybody else for it.
I was just gonna say that's not his fault.
No, no. In 2012, Roger bought his first gun, a Glock 24 semi automatic pistol. Soon after, he bought two more like it.
Hmm.
In 2013, he went to a party. At one point, he climbed onto like a 10-foot wall. And when I say wall, I mean like it was something like a retaining wall. So one
Okay.
side wasn't 10 feet, a 10-foot drop, but one side was a 10-foot drop.
Sure.
And he just sat on top of it and was just kind of like trying to look cool and stuff. And
Hmm.
there were people that joined him. Like they went over to him, they sat down and ignored him. I guess they weren't like fawning over him, but in his perception, they ignored him.
Oh.
And that triggered him. So he started arguing, especially with the girls. He tried to push them off the ledge,
Mm.
but instead he was pushed off and he ended up breaking his ankle.
Oh
Now,
no.
I know. So he did
Oh.
limp away. He got up and he limped away. And like he remembered that, oh crap, I left my sunglasses in the house where the party was taking place. So, and mind you, he was also very drunk. So he was drinking. Okay. So he decided to walk into the house, not
Mm.
realizing he walked into the wrong house for his sunglasses.
Oh no.
And the homeowner was like, what the and pushed him. And like any homeowner would be like,
Sure.
and forced him out of the
Get the
house.
hell out of
And
my house.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was a bad night for him.
Yeah.
So, also at this time in Ala Vista, he got two roommates. Okay. So he was living with two different guys.
Okay.
At one point, Roger called the police and accused one of his roommates because he thought he stole a $22 candle of his, which is it's just an odd thing to
Yeah.
steal.
Yeah.
And the
I
roommate
mean,
told
what?
the police, yeah.
I wouldn't spend $22 on a candle.
Really? Oh, girl, I've spent way more than that on a candle. Oh my God.
I'm
I
not
was
saying I
tempted.
haven't,
Okay,
but I
you can.
also wouldn't, I don't know, call the cops and about that
No,
either. So,
no. There was one time that I was going to, and you're gonna think I'm crazy. There was a candle that I wanted to buy, and it was $450.
oh my God.
I know.
Did
I
it have
almost did it.
magic
I
wax
don't
or
know.
something?
I'll never know because I talked myself
Mm.
out of it. I don't know why I remember that. It was years ago, but like I remember like actually talking myself thinking, I don't know.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
back to the
Wow.
story.
That's
So the
crazy.
roommate said he was confused at this because he noticed the other day that Roger was taking his stuff and kind of moving it around the house. I guess he thought he was just reorganizing stuff.
Hmm.
So it was very likely that he moved his own candle. And
Oh,
police
jeez.
said, like, they ended up doing a search and they did find the candle under his roommate's bed,
Hmm.
and the roommate was arrested. But the
Oh,
case was
wow.
later dismissed. Yeah. So this raised questions that Roger framed his roommate.
Hmm.
Okay, which we can see at this point. Like
Sure.
Okay. Also, at this time, Roger started a YouTube channel.
Oh.
In his videos, he called himself the Supreme Gentleman. He talked about how women rejecting him was wrong and that they should be punished. He said people needed to suffer so that they would see him as being powerful. He even said that if he had the power, he would destroy everyone. So this
Oh,
guy was
wow.
living in a fantasy, a wow
Yeah. Oh,
fantasy.
wow.
In these videos, like it was chilling because he spoke in a calm way, like almost no emotion,
hmm
and he
hmm
had like this weird, strange, forced laugh. It was just odd
Mm.
behavior. But here are some of the titles of some of his videos. One, why do girls hate me so much?
Oh, wow.
Two, my reaction to seeing a young couple. Three, life is so unfair because girls don't want me. Four, girls, please give me a chance. And five, at this point, I hate girls was his title.
So is this like, are these like vlogs? Like, back in the
Yes.
day, the vlog.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So you could see like his just it's degrading. It's just like it's
Yeah.
it's going from a place of question to a place of like I'm angry now.
hmm
Then he decided to write a 137-page manifesto called My Twisted World. In it, he described his life and his beliefs. He made it clear that he felt rejected, lonely, and angry. He wrote about his feelings entitled to love and sex. He blamed women and saw other men as enemies. He called himself superior and even referred to himself as the alpha male.
Oh my God.
The most disturbing part, it wasn't just reflection. This was his plan. This was a manifesto.
And
Okay. Now,
manifestos do not go well,
no, they never go
you
well.
know?
And you can read his manifesto. It's a long manifesto, but you can read the entire thing. It is truly disturbing because he hits on every gross thing to say about human beings in
Mm.
like that there is. I'll put it on the Patreon for you guys to read through it. So he described what he called a day of retribution. He believed what he was about to do was justified.
Mm.
This wasn't a loss of control. This was a decision he made. His videos worried his family. Like somebody in the inside actually saw some of the
Sure.
stuff he was posting, and it was
That
his
was going to be a
mother.
question. Like,
Hmm.
if he's out, like, are his parents in this? Like, and his
Yeah,
sister.
yeah. So his mother was like very concerned, and she
hmm
did try to get him help through the years. On April 30th, 2014, a crisis line contacted police after his mother called them, worried about a video that he posted.
hmm
Police went to his apartment. They said he seemed shy, polite, calm, and normal. He denied any violent plans. He was just being creative on YouTube. This is also 2014. So,
Yeah.
you know, they left. They were like, all right, there's nothing to do here. It's just a kid being stupid. Like, clean up your act and don't
hmm
post such dark stuff. And
Right.
they moved along. Nothing seemed urgent to them. But internally, everything had been decided at this point for him.
Mm.
So on May 23rd, 2014, Roger, now 22 years old, carried out his attack in Vista. He first stabbed three men in his apartment, both of his
Oh,
roommates and a friend. Their names are George Chen, Wilhen Wang, and Chin Hong, the two roommates and one of his friends, and of course the one that he thought stole his candle.
yeah.
At 7:38 p.m., he went to Starbucks and bought a triple vanilla latte. And at 9:17 p.m., he uploaded his final video called Retribution. And he emailed his 137-page manifesto to more than 30 people, including his parents, former
Wow.
teachers, and his therapist,
Oh, no.
including a link to his final video.
Mm.
He then drove around to Alpha Phi sorority house and shot two women, Catherine Brennan Cooper and Veronica Weiss, and wounded another.
Mm.
He continued driving, shooting into coffee shops and a deli where he killed Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez. He kept going, shooting at people and hitting others with his car. He was just running them down or shooting out of
Yeah.
his window. He exchanged gunfire with police at least two times on two events during this time, like during his little
Oh.
drive.
Oh.
During the second exchange, though, the bullet, one of the bullets from the cops did hit his hip, or I guess went through the
Mm,
car door and hit his hip.
yeah.
Shortly after this, the BMW crashed. Police found him inside, dead from a self-inflicted
Mm,
gunshot wound, and
hmm.
that was around 9:35 p.m.
That
In
escalated very
total,
quickly.
it did. It was very quick because
Wow.
if think about it, he
Mm,
started at what 9:17. By 9:35, it was over. That's crazy.
yeah.
And in total, he killed 6 people and injured 14 others, 7 from gunfire and 7 from getting hit by the car.
Wow.
Afterwards, his father publicly expressed grief and acknowledged the victims. It became clear that there had been warning signs,
Mm,
videos, writings, behavior, and growing anger.
yeah.
His family had tried to help him, but it wasn't enough. Elliot Rogers' story isn't just about violence. It's about what can happen when isolation, entitlement, and resentment grow without being challenged. It didn't become dangerous overnight. He didn't just feel lonely. He believed he was owed something.
Hmm.
And when the world didn't give it to him, he chose to take it. That's what makes his case so disturbing because the warning signs were there all
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
And that is my case about the WoW Incel killer.
Wow.
I know. That's why it's so important
Hey.
to not put yourself in an echo chamber situation. It's so important to listen to criticism when you can and absorb it and like just look in the
Yeah.
mirror. Yeah, and there's so many people I know like that are probably in this community that their only outlet to the outside world is through this fantasy
Is
world,
gaming. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Did any like medications and stuff? Did he stop taking medications? Like, did he acknowledge the mental health issues that he had?
Well, that's the thing about narcissism, isn't it?
Well,
There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with them. So they didn't say about him stopping his medication, so I'm assuming that he didn't. But I think just with his diagnosis, there was no self-reflection
Hmm.
on maybe, with his mom his mom was there helping him. His father did give him an allowance to live. So they
Hmm.
were in his life. So I'm assuming that they did probably monitor those treatments and the therapist. And he did at the end, he did email his therapist everything. So he was still in
Right.
communication with
Sure.
everybody.
Sure. Okay.
But I don't think it was enough. I think he probably needed some serious, he probably needed to be Baker acted and some serious
Mm,
intensive psychotherapy needed to be done to just start the treatment.
yeah.
And if he was on medication, that type of medication for a long time, there's also a chance of his body kind of getting numb to the medication
Sure.
if you
I was
don't
gonna
kind
say,
of,
yeah, you kind of get used to it.
yeah.
So obviously, like a inpatient, kind of thing would have been more beneficial, but also just from his approach, like if he was still taking his medication, he was still going to see his therapist. The cops came to the door and he said he was calm, he was fine. There's almost that personality, like a personality disorder, or I don't say schizophrenia, but like there's that split, but it seems like it's intentional. So he's intentionally leading people into what he wants them to know.
Uh-huh.
So in
Yeah.
in the background he can kind of get his plan together.
Yeah. He was definitely obsessed with the way people perceived him. So he
Hmm.
definitely put on an act. I don't think he knew who he was.
Sure, yeah.
But also, like having some type of personality disorder with all these things that are going on and narcissism, there is a level of like self-preservation,
Hmm.
that if you see yourself, like if when you see the cops, you may just tell them what you think they want to hear,
Yeah.
manipulating that
Yeah.
whole, I mean,
Yeah.
he's manipulating his entire existence to think what a girl wants. So
Right. Yeah, he's
thinking that he's delivering
manipulating
what a cop wants.
himself.
Right, right. So, and that's
It
that.
just reminds me of that song, Don't You Want Me, Baby? Oh, well, thanks for that story. It's a
You're
little,
welcome.
it's a little out there. That's crazy.
I know, right?
Oh, wow.
Well, we wouldn't dream of leaving you hanging. For more chilling details about this case and many others, check out After That Crime Chat, available exclusively on our Patreon.
And don't forget to follow us, Crime Chat with Nat and Kat, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Rumble. See what we got going on.
Want more chilling content and behind the scenes chaos? Become a VIP chatter to our Patreon. You'll unlock bonus episodes, bloopers, exclusive sneak peeks, and even free merch. And yes, we've got some criminal goodies in the works, so support the show. Fuel your obsession with the weird and the wicked and join the Crime Chat Chatter crew in style.
Nailed it again.
I know.
And speaking of, we have another chatter on Patreon, the subscribe to our Patreon. So shout out to Chrissy. And she's going to be getting some merch soon as well.
Yes.
Well, be sure to check out our next episode. The one we have coming up next week is our case update. Case update number 5 is coming out April 4th. And then our regular season 5 episode will come out April 11th. And that's my story. I have an idea of what I want to do. Have not put it together yet. So.
Okay. Well, you don't want to miss it.
It'll be a surprise for you this time.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
We'll see you next time, chatters.
Bye.
Bye.